Hello everyone, welcome to Experiencia Flamino. My name is Douglas Flamino, and today I'm going to show you what it was like when I gave all my money to a financial specialist. Before this video continues, help me out here please, give my video a like. This is a video that could help a lot of people, so I think I deserve it. Leave a comment saying Pucarontas. So how did it start? I was at home just relaxing, and then I got a call from Caio. I've already talked about Caio in the chess video, the one on 30 days of chess training. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's really cool. I'll link it in the card. If you saw in the chess video, I even said, look, Caio, my friend here who recommended this video to me, is going to help me with an experience related to finances. And then Caio called me. I don't know how he got my number. But Caio is a guy who's really good at networking, really good at getting in touch with clients, people. That chess video I made existed because of him. He was the one who introduced me to Gilberto Milos, who's the grandmaster who helped me, and he also introduced me to Rafael Chess, who's the most famous YouTuber in Brazil when it comes to chess, I believe. So he's really good at making connections, and he's also really good with finance and economics. He's the guy who knows the most about economics that I've ever seen in my life. And then he made me an offer. He asked if I had a financial advisor, and I said no, I don't even know what a financial advisor does, so we scheduled a meeting here at my house. At first I wasn't interested at all in making this video, right? Neither was he nor was I. And then he talked to me, explained things, and introduced me to chess. We talked a lot, had some coffee, and I thought it was a wonderful opportunity because I can say I'm a guy who's pretty bad with finances. I don't understand, I really don't understand where to leave my money so it can grow in the safest and most profitable way possible. I have no idea. I've even had other financial experiences here on the channel. People seem to like it, right? And I think that's really cool because I end up learning new ways to make my money grow and inspiring other people to study the subject. I'm not always going to tell people to do the same thing I'm doing. Actually, I never recommend it because otherwise I end up taking on too much responsibility, So these videos are more to inspire people, right? To encourage them to look for new ways to invest, to study the subject, to learn how to make their money work better for them. It's very interesting, but I admit that I, Douglas, am terrible at managing my money. That's why I always wait for people to show up to help me with that. Anyway, Caio talked to me here, and his proposal was to take my money, which was all my money was sitting in Nubank, and allocate my money across other assets. Assets would be more profitable but still safe. Well, and Caio was able to inspire a lot of confidence in me, especially because he's connected to a really big company. So I wasn't scared at all, and I was willing to give him all my money to invest wherever he thought was best. The thing is, it wouldn't just be Caio involved with my money, it would be a whole team. And he works at an office here on Paulista Avenue, so I went to Caio's office, right? To build that trust, to meet the people who would be handling my money at each stage, to see who would be doing it, and to see if I could also gather some information.
Then to do that, we're already here.
Caio is already my friend. We've already had a lot of coffee together, we've talked a lot about economics, the same things I'm going to ask him, I'll ask the others. So, what's your role here in the office?
I'm an investment advisor. What does an investment advisor do? He acts as an intermediary between the office and the public. So first we look at the person's needs. We serve as an intermediary for what the person truly needs.
Intermediary in what sense, but...
I'm the one who gets in touch with the public, right? But to make a more real-world comparison, I'm like a general practitioner. And a general practitioner, even though he has a strong background and studies in medicine, he won't be the one to make the final decision on prescribing medication. He will refer you to other types of doctors, a cardiologist, a neurologist, and so on. I am a specialist who first assesses the person's needs.
Today, at Spread Capital, my role is to analyze and complement what the investment advisors do. So, the investment advisors will look at the entire investment portfolio, stocks, fixed income, real estate funds, and all the various options we have in the financial market. My role complements this in the financial planning process. So, I will analyze all the tax matters, the fiscal issues, whether for individuals or for companies. organize the risk management for this person or company over the years, and consequently make sure that this person not only reaches retirement faster, but we also organize the entire estate transfer process. How is this estate, this legacy, built during the lifetime by the patriarch or matriarch, passed on to the legal heirs?
I'm in charge of allocation at the office. What is that? People often ask what allocation we use daily. All our clients have a portfolio called asset allocation, showing how much they have in inflation-linked assets, floating rate investments, multi-strategy funds, and stocks. There, my job, together with my team, is to determine these percentages. For example, in Brazil's current situation, how much should we invest in floating rate investments versus stocks? How should we allocate a portfolio for a conservative client versus an aggressive one? We create 5 model portfolios for the office, ranging from most conservative to most aggressive. And then the sales team, after the conversations they have with the client on a daily basis, understands the client's profile, and with that can determine which of these portfolios makes the most sense for the profile.
Here at Squad, I'm responsible for foreign exchange. Foreign exchange is nothing more than exchanging currencies. So actually, a Brazilian person who has some business abroad and needs to receive or make a payment, they need to exchange currency. What sets us apart from others in the market? Here we offer personalized consulting. So actually we sit down with the client, understand their needs and pain points, and offer a solution, a better alternative than what they already have. From our experience, we noticed that many clients carry out transactions at major banks or some brokerages in the wrong way. So we've had several cases here where we brought the client to the office, showed them the best way, and helped them achieve savings. Besides that, when you exchange currency at Squad, you don't pay any fees, you get the lowest spread in the market, and most importantly, you have a specialist dedicated to your transaction. So when you come to visit us, I'll sit down with you, understand your needs, and show you the best way, the best method to operate. We noticed that people who work abroad as gamers or influencers do currency exchanges, but sometimes they don't do it in the best possible way.
And one thing that really blew my mind was when I talked to Marcos, the guy who handles asset protection. Wow, I had no idea. I didn't have insurance. I was simply at risk of, I don't know, if suddenly my channel got hacked, or I don't know, if I became unable to work, there wouldn't be anything I could do. I would just stop having an income. So the insurance he told me about was 160. Actually, no. Reais per month. I got this insurance as quickly as possible. And if I have any kind of situation like disability, or if I can't work anymore for some other reason, or I don't know, if I break my arm and have to stay away from work for 3 months, I'll get an amount for that period. If I can't work, I'll receive a very high amount for being disabled and unable to work. I found it to be a huge relief. So, alright, how much did I have to allocate there? I had already agreed with them to give my money to Caio and say, put this money wherever you want, wherever you guys want. I had 50,000 Reais. It wasn't exactly 50,000 Reais. At first, in the first week, I put in 48,000, then I added 2,000 a little while later, so there was an additional contribution.
But it was basically 50,000 Reais.
Guys, I'm here now with Caio, and we were talking about my portfolio, the returns, and everything else. He's going to explain to you how my portfolio is divided and why it was divided that way. He'll explain a little bit about what the financial market is and everything else. Good luck.
Caio, perfect.
I'm going to take a dump.
Go ahead then. What is the financial market? The financial market is a group of institutions that lets people who have money channel it to people who, for some reason, they need money. I usually say that it's riskier to be out of it than in it. When you put that money in a simple checking account, you're already in the financial market, okay? But there are places where you can put it with higher returns and the same type of risk. So risk will always exist, even if it's minimal. The place where your money is now, it could cease to exist. It could go bankrupt. So the secret is to reduce risk through diversifying across solid assets. The risk decreases from the moment you have diversification, to assets, a 50% reduction, and so on. There is indeed systemic risk, okay? Which here is called non-diversifiable risk. Here is another type of chart that I think is cool, which talks about risk versus return. What is expected, right? If there is a little risk, you expect a little return. and vice versa, right? Well, how does financial advising work? First, we conduct an assessment and gather some data from them. In a second step, we present a portfolio suggestion that makes sense for the person. We start working together, and once a month I talk to them. And since the goals and scenarios, both for the person and the economic and political scenario, change, there has to be very active follow-up with each person. So each person will have their own different portfolio. This one is Flaminio's, okay? You don't need to have a lot of it. There are some really interesting assets, but this kind of proportion and these assets are good for his goal and for his time frame, okay? We put 8% in a fixed rate asset, right? Here. A fixed rate asset is a type of investment where you already know at the end of the period how much return you're going to get. We're working a lot with floating rate assets, which are for emergency funds. So this type of investment is used for emergency reserves.
That's not true. None of that was actually done, guys. Everything he's saying is just a joke.
NFT. We put 22% in multi-strategy funds, right? These are funds that invest in various types of assets and have good strategies, and they serve to protect in different scenarios. We put 9% in equities, which would be a portfolio called Top Dividends. Really cool. That has a winning strategy with 7 types of assets, okay? You can see it here. And we put 12% in inflation protected assets, right? These would be assets specifically to protect Douglas's purchasing power against inflation. There's a performance history, okay? The performance history covers 36 months. It always comes along with the CDI, which is the benchmark. It's the reference rate, a fancy name to say. Reference rate in the financial market, benchmark. All right. I kind of burped here, hold on. I didn't put that in the video, for God's sake. But you put mine in the mic office, right?
That was it. No one should get inspired by my portfolio and then come throw stones at me saying I recommended the wrong thing. I'm not telling anyone to put their money in the same assets that are in my portfolio, okay? In fact, those assets change according to the value of the portfolio and the investor's profile. It varies a lot, okay? So I would suggest you look for your own advisor to do that. If you want, get in touch with Caio on Instagram. Alright, so how much did my portfolio yield at the end of this month? In the first 24 days, it had already yielded 300 and something Reais, 350 Reais, something like that. And Caio told me that in the first month there was a very high chance of not making a profit, of having a, what was the name of what he said? Oh, mark to market. He said that in this first month there was a mark to market adjustment, which is something that happens twice a year. And that takes away a bit of the profit, but the chart went like this. It went down, then up, and surpassed the CDI rate. So even in this situation, I already made more profit than I would have if my money was just sitting in Nubank. I asked him what would be an average amount I could tell people that my portfolio would yield. He said that's variable because I have 7 market-based investments there, so it's quite variable. But he said I can say it's around 700 Rs. So with 50,000 I can get an average return of about 700 Rs per month. Some months can be even better, some months can be worse. Well, and now that I've met some people from Caio's office, I even have some ideas for new investment videos. But still, you can always leave suggestions if you're interested in seeing some type of investment, or if you want me to try investing in some way here. Look, things I'm going to do here that you'll see here on the channel. Drop shipping, I'm going to do 30 days of drop shipping. I'm just still waiting for a real expert to help me with the business. Options, I'm also going to make a video about options. It's different from binary options. I already have a video here about binary options. As for NFTs, I'm not willing to do that. Well, guys, I have to tell you that I had an experience with NFTs and it was terrible. I lost more than 10,000 Rs. It was terrible. I was robbed. My digital wallet was hacked, and there were 10,000 Rs in pancake swap. It was tragic. I was also playing a little game. It wasn't X Infinity. For X Infinity, I was using another wallet. It was a game called PVU. Anyone who is into crypto games knows what it is. That same wallet where I had money staked on pancake swap was the same wallet where I had PVU. I wasn't doing a 30-day experiment for the channel or anything. And I'm talking here, right? and it got hacked. I clicked, if I'm not mistaken, on a wrong PVU link. And they got access to my wallet and withdrew my money from Pancake, about 10,000 Reais. But the little money I had there in PVU, that was sad. It really discouraged me a lot. But that's it, right? It's an experience I didn't mention here. I didn't do an experiment about this, but I'm telling you guys about it. Leave a like to help me out, and see you in the next experiment. But wait, I'm editing this video right now and I forgot to mention that I'm going to show the result of this portfolio in a year. But I don't know if I'm going to show it here on YouTube. I'll probably show it on Instagram. So follow me on Instagram if you want to see the result of this. I can probably also keep updating it there month by month and everything, maybe every 2 months or every 3 months, I don't know. But I'll show how this is going to turn out from now on, because 30 days isn't enough to really get an idea.